using my legs. He dances, he dashes, he gets into the red zone, and he is brought down within the 10-yard line. So now it's like, all right, let's settle down. Let's get back to what we're used to. Dylan Sampson. Huff it in there. That's a touchdown. We got a tie game. Alabama ends up getting a field goal. Nico has to do something again, and he rolls right. He launches all the way down, and it's caught by Dante Thornton. Another huge play. People had said the passing game wasn't working. Well, it certainly did there. Now it's Alabama's turn. The offenses are starting to rev up. This one's caught and brought down into the red zone. Tennessee fans starting to get a little nervous at the very beginning, but then Alabama ends up scoring. Nico decides to throw it. He goes deep. Chris Brazzell catches it. That is the first catch in what feels like forever for a touchdown. A little more on that later. Now Alabama needs something. 4th and 22. They go short. They are not able to get the first down. Tennessee has excellent field position where they could win it, but they don't. They get a field goal. Now they got to hold. Alabama, no timeouts. Jalen Milroe needs to pull off a miracle here. He drops back, but this pass is intercepted. Will Brooks ends up icing the game. He's going crazy. And you know Coach Heupel loves it. He ends up going nuts. Bill Martin's loving it. Everyone's having a good time in Tennessee. They end up tearing down the goalpost. And let's look at the stats, something that we haven't been able to say in almost 2 weeks. Tennessee wins on this graphic and this margin. They win in total yards. They win in rushing yards. They barely lose in passing yards. That's okay. It's expected for this offense. Yards per play is down. But it wasn't all roses. And, Luke, I want to bring everyone in this. But, Luke, we're going to start with you. The offense in the first half looked abysmal. What did you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, we couldn't get anything going at all. There was not a whole lot working at all, but I think the main thing that I was looking at was the offensive line. Really something that should be excelling this year. It was projected to be, one of the best that we've seen in a long time. You got Lancer, John Campbell, and Cooper Mays, who's a senior. I mean, he is an absolute beast up there. They weren't doing a whole lot at all. They couldn't open a hole up for Sampson. When they did, Sampson fumbled. And all of a sudden, pressure collapses around Nico, and Nico's nervous. It's Alabama. You got a sold-out Nealon. He's rolling out. He panics, and he throws a couple of interceptions. 3 turnovers in the first half. The line has got to step up, and I know they had some injuries, but it's one of these things where they have to step up if we want to win some more games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going right off of that. That first half, this is the third scoreless first half we've had in 3 games. I mean, that needs to change for this team. We're a second-half team right now, and everybody knows it. Every team we've played in the last 3 games has shut us down in the first half, allowed us to not score points. But, I mean, you look at the turnovers in the first half of this football game. We had 3 turnovers. Dylan Sampson fumble, which was just a killer for momentum on that first drive of the game. Yeah. Gaston Moore comes into play. Gaston, I love you, but 0 for 1 and 1 interception is not a great stat line. And then Nico with that interception in the red zone. And those are 3 turnovers with 2 extra missed field goals.
I was going to point out, the 2 missed field goals didn't help either.
I mean, it's not crazy to say the Vols left 20 points on the board in the first half. They easily could have had at least 14. So, I mean, that's something that has to change with this team right now is the first half offensive success.
Sophie?
Absolutely. So basically all the offensive issues that we've been talking about every week really became evident in the first half there. All of our little areas just were not clicking. Alabama was able to hold Nico to only 7 of 14, only 99 yards. He had 1 interception. We had a little injury scare there for a second. My heart dropped. I don't know about y'all, but I was not feeling good. Worst fear comes to life. Gaston Moore comes in, first play, throws a pick. It just seemed like all of those little things that were going wrong could have gone wrong. Looking at Nico, the O-line is huge. He's scrambling. It causes him to be accurate. He gets nervous. If they don't fix that out, it's going to hurt him. Hurting him hurts every other aspect of our offense. So it was just not a pretty performance by Tennessee in the first half.
Well, let's enough with the first half, enough with the negative. Let's look towards the positive side. I mean, this team in the second half seemed to kind of play like what we've expected in the first half of the season. Luke, what did you feel kind of coming out of halftime? The team started to kind of erupt.
I mean, it was a completely different football game. I mean, the team you watched in the first half was not the team that played in the second half, and I'm sure
it hasn't been in the last 3 weeks.
Exactly, and I'm sure every Vol fan is thankful for that. I don't know, Heupel must be the king of halftime speeches. I don't know what goes on in that locker room, but something's happening to this team to make them better in the second half. But I mean, we scored touchdowns on 3 of our first 5 drives in the second half. That's really good, much better than we did in the first half, considering we didn't score any. So this team came out of half just rearing to go. I mean, they were hungry, and the best part about it was that our defense didn't let up either. Oh, yeah. If you hold Bama to 7 points in the first half, you're still in the football game. And at halftime, I was telling Luke, we were at the game together. I said, if this is a 1-score game at half, we're 100% still in it. And the defense just continued their hard work in the second half as well, to holding them to only 10 points. So I mean, when your defense plays as good as they do, and your offense starts to actually turn up and play some football, then you got a pretty good team going.
An important metric I'd like to point out is that Alabama was 3 for 14 on 3rd down, which obviously is not successful very often. Another metric I'd like to point out is that Nico hadn't thrown a touchdown since the Oklahoma game, and that was the first quarter.
Yeah.
That was on September 21st. So it's been a while. That was an exciting moment, I think, in Neyland, not only because of the obviously the right there, the touchdown, the being able to take the lead, but also because he hadn't thrown a touchdown in what seemed like forever.
Yeah, I mean, look, he came out there with a different composure, and it's noticeable. And I can't tell you what it does for the rest of the team when your quarterback comes out and he looks like a completely different player. He looks more relaxed. I said to him while we were sitting in the stands, when he threw that ball to Chris Brazzell, he just looked so relaxed. I mean, when you look at him throwing the ball when he's rolling out in the pocket, or even sometimes when he's in the pocket, he gets all tense, and it doesn't look relaxed. He doesn't look like he's very natural in there. And sometimes, when he has that composure like he did second half, he throws that ball effortless, completely effortless. And so it's one of these things where when the line starts blocking and Nico can kind of relax a little bit, all of a sudden you see everybody else start to relax. Okay, Nico's relaxing. Everyone, let's calm down. We put up some points. We get drives down the field. We get slow and methodical. We don't cough the ball up, and all of a sudden we get in the end zone.
Sophie, anything you want to add about the success of the
Yeah,
second half?
I mean, I've been waiting, I think, like everyone, to see that shift in Nico's mentality from scared to throw a pick or frazzled running around to I'm going to be this quarterback that everyone knows that I can be. And we definitely saw that. They found their rhythm. There were two kind of key momentum shifts, that 55-yard pass to Don Thornton, then the fourth quarter touchdown to Chris Brazzell. I hope that was a real morale booster for him. You know what? Regardless of what happened in the fourth half, every quarter's different. I want him to go into every single quarter like he's going to be the best version of himself. No matter what happened, you got to have that next play mentality or you're not going to succeed. What he should realize is that he's the first rookie since 2019, Bo Nix, to beat Alabama.
Wow.
Take that.
Good
Take
stat.
that, Nico.
Good stat.
Yeah.
I love to hear that.
He needs to take that and realize that, you know what? Little morale booster for the team. I can absolutely carry this team offensively. We had, of course, rely on the run game, win and out. We had 214 yards on the ground. Still a huge asset for us. McCoy had 6 catches. We haven't seen a lot from him, I feel like, Brew McCoy, in a little bit. So all of those really contributed to a good offensive recovery.
Well, I love that stat. That's incredible. And another thing that was incredible with this defense that I think without a doubt won the game for the Volunteers. Where do you lie on that? Do you think this team can kind of consistently kind of rely on their defense? I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be a Ravens fan. It makes me think of when I wasn't alive. But my mom would tell me stories about this the one team that won the Super Bowl because of their defense. That kind of feels like this. I mean, can a team kind of ride the defense for this long? And do you think that's a successful method of winning football games?
You can for sure ride the defense. And I mean, with this team, I think that is 100% a possibility because if your defense is holding teams to scoring very few points, your offense has to do less work to win the football game. And that's just a fact. They have to score less points. And that's what our defense has been doing all season. We have one quarter of football where a team has scored double-digit points on our defense, and that was the fourth quarter, kind of garbage time of the Oklahoma game. Every other quarter, our defense has held a team scoreless or to only one score in that quarter. And a funny stat that I found when I was doing some digging here is that Dylan Sampson has 8 less rushing yards than our defense has allowed this entire season. Our defense has stopped the run so well that Dylan Sampson almost has more yards than we've let up rushing on defense. So, I mean, they are doing a fantastic job. This game you saw it with guys like McCoy, Will Brooks, and even James Pierce Jr. in this game putting pressure on Milroe.
Yeah.
You saw he looked very uncomfortable this game, and that's thanks to JPJ himself. But, I mean, Will Brooks. How about it? Right?
I mean, goodness.
The walk-on wonder, coming in this game, I believe he had 8 tackles, and he had the game-sealing interception, as we saw at the end of the highlights there. But he just played his heart out, and he left his all on that field. And you could tell that it meant a lot to him that he had such a great performance in that game. Because a lot of people say it, playing Alabama when you're Tennessee, that puts your name on the map. And Will Brooks, for him, I believe that put his name on the map for people who weren't aware with his game right now.
2 interceptions, both which have had gigantic implications, and a pick 6 against NC State for what feels like forever ago, and then obviously this walk-off interception. Luke, how do you feel about this defense?
I mean, I feel like we have to put him on scholarship. This is a phenomenal performance from Will Brooks here. But what's not being talked about enough, in my opinion, is you look at the first half, the defense stepped up tremendously. I mean, there's nothing, if we didn't step up defense, the way we did in the first half, Bama could very well run up the score 35-0, and we can't crawl back from there. You can't crawl back from that. But if you mentally go into the score, go into the half down 1 score, sure, you can march your way back. But if that defense wasn't there in that first half, I mean, we wouldn't have a shot. Even if Nico started playing, Hall of Fame game level, my goodness, you don't have a shot coming back. So the defense and Will Brooks, my goodness, Will Brooks, 6 tackles. They were showing that throughout the game, his stats, and those 2 interceptions were phenomenal. But, the defense I think you can't ride it completely. You have to have some offense step in there at some point, but it's certainly a pivotal point of this team.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to a look at kind of what's coming up for the Volunteers. Obviously, they have a bye this week. Fortunately, you can't lose on a bye week. But let's take a look at what's coming up now. Week 10, they face Kentucky at home. That's most likely going to be a blackout game. It's definitely going to be a night game. I would imagine it's going to be a pretty electric moment inside Neyland Stadium. Then they welcome Mississippi State. That's going to be Tennessee's homecoming. Then they have to travel down to Athens. That's the game that could be, it could be a top 5 matchup at that point. We'll have to see. But regardless, it's going to have some serious playoff implications if Tennessee's able to win that game, assuming they win the first 2 and the remaining 2. They're almost certainly in the playoff. Regardless, let's not get ahead of ourselves as we get ahead of ourselves. They face UTEP at home, and then they go into Nashville to play a very hot Vanderbilt team. As you look at this schedule, Luke, I'm going to start with you. What kind of scares you? Who do you think could kind of shift the Volunteers off their path as they go on to the rest of the last 5 games of the season? Well,
I mentioned this earlier in the season along with a couple other teams we might lose to, and I think my name was ran through the mud here, but Kentucky, the Wildcats, they're a team that earlier in the season looked really, really not great at all. And then all of a sudden you come out and you lose by 1 to the number 1 team in the country, Georgia. It really puts your name on the map, and then all of a sudden you come out and upset Ole Miss. So how about the heart and the Wildcats? Okay, the Wildcats are, they're not a team. You could look at it beginning of the season at our schedule and say, this is a check mark box. You move on to the next week. Not anymore. I mean, this is a team that has heart. And you look at their running game. Demisumo Karngbe. So he's the running back. I probably butchered that. I apologize. Anyway, he's a top 10 rusher in the SEC. He's got some power back there, and he rushes the ball really, really well. I mean, this is no way, shape, and form a check mark game. You look at Kentucky with a little bit of, don't overthink it, but go in there, you're equal to Kentucky at this point. You go in there with the mentality that this is a team that you have to play with all your might, So it's going to be one of these games that you have to go out there and play hard.
Sophie, who do you think is going to be a big challenge coming up for the Volunteers?
Not to state the obvious, anyone. Georgia. Georgia's a problem for us. They keep inching their way back to closer to that number 1 spot after their loss to Alabama. They've won 3 consecutive games in a row. And to note that Alabama game, they came back from Bama's lead to 28-0. That in and of itself should scare everyone. Looking at the game against Texas, their defense looked outstanding. They forced 3 fumbles, 1 interception, great during the pass rush. They sacked both of Texas's quarterbacks a total of 7 times. And Texas has a great offense here, and they held them to 259 yards and 29 rushing yards. They absolutely shut them down. Looking at individual people, their running back game looks amazing. Carson Beck did not have his best game by far. He had 3 interceptions. He threw no touchdown passes. The most dangerous thing about Georgia is that he can not be on it. Every other aspect of their team is going to find a way to win. Their quarterback can be having the worst game of his life. And their defense, their run game, everyone else is going to make that win possible. So as long as Kirby Smart is there, we got to be worried.
Yeah, absolutely. Luke, who you got?
I'm looking at the Vanderbilt Commodores led by Diego Pavia himself. Now, I'm going to be honest. They're in the SEC, and they've been the joke of the SEC for a while, but I am high on Vanderbilt this year. They are a fun team to watch this season, and who would have expected it from the Commodores? Diego Pavia, just a little trivia for you. Diego Pavia is a top 10 SEC quarterback in passing yards and rushing yards. He's the number 7 rusher in the SEC.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that insane?
Crazy.
So he's getting it done through the air and on the ground himself. He's got more yards than his running back rushing the ball. So
is that real?
That is completely real.
It feels made up. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels completely made up. I had to do a double take when I saw it, but he's getting the job done for this Vanderbilt team. And I mean, you look at who they've played. They lost a double overtime thriller in Missouri, which frankly they easily could have won. Then they beat Bama and Kentucky in back-to-back weeks. You talk about Bama, it's a tough team to beat, especially. Sure. I mean, it was home, but Vanderbilt Stadium isn't exactly that much of a home field.
That was a home-away game, yeah.
Yeah, construction.
Exactly. And then you talked about Kentucky being a tough team in the SEC this year. They went and they took care of business there as well. And they're playing Texas this week, and I expect that to be actually a decent game. I mean, Vanderbilt, they are doing everything they need to win football games. They're getting passing yards. They're running up the score. They dropped 40 on Bama. We didn't drop 40 on Bama. We dropped 24 on Bama. So what they're doing over in Nashville is just phenomenal. It's fun to watch this year, but I think as the last game of the year, it's going to be a tough one for us.
All right, well, fire drill, quick answers. Do you think the playoffs are a legitimate possibility right now? Luke, we'll start with you. Yes or no? 3-word answer, why?
Yes, we're back.
Okay, good enough. Luke, do you think it's a possibility?
I think for sure. I think we could drop another game and still have a chance to
Drop another game, Sophie.
Yep, 67%. That is my final answer. We have a 67% chance.
I thought it was 3 words. I don't understand.
Just for you, just for you.
All right, well, that wraps up the first half of the Orange Zone. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, we're live. We're doing everything great. We're going to have Rocky Top up next. And when we come back, we're going to have a legendary segment coming back with maybe even a special guest. Make sure to stick with us. We'll see you on the other side.
This is wisdom. It's not something you learn. It's something you earn. With experience, with consistency, with compassion and dedication. This is the confidence that comes from having wisdom on your side. This is hope. This is victory. This is the Regents Academic Medical Center. This is wisdom for your life.
He shoots, and he scores!
It's good. Riley. All righty. Why are we taking?
Being a basketball coach isn't a 40-hour-a-week job. I wish it was, but sometimes it feels like it's all the hours of the week kind of job. Buddy, if there's something that saves me some time, I'm all for it.
Coach, is that my dress shampoo?
Don't judge me. Every minute I save is a precious minute I get to spend at home. That's why I love using Go-Kart curbside pickup at Food City. I order my groceries online, and they bring them right to my car in the parking lot.
Order for Barnes?
Hey, that's me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rocky Top. Coming up, the stage is set. The New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers will face off in the World Series. Plus, the NBA has started back. We'll take a deep dive into the teams that have been playing so far and see what we want to see for the rest of the year. Plus, an update on how the NFL goes as we get closer to that midway point in the season. Here today we have Tyler Petuchek and Jack Glennon, our analysts, and I am your host, Zach Pelfrey. We start out in the MLB where the World Series is set with the Dodgers and the Yankees. Both teams have #1 seeds, which is only the third time this has happened in nearly 30 years. Now let's talk Yankees first. All right. Aaron Judge, arguably one of the best hitters in the American League, has not shown up at all. 5 hits in nearly 10 games that they've played. Do the Yankees need to rely on him through the rest of the season, or can they look to guys like Giancarlo Stanton or Juan Soto to make those big plays? Tyler, I want to start with you.
Well, I think, first of all, with the Dodgers' weakened pitching staff that they have going into the series, I think absolutely you need to rely on Aaron Judge. I think Giancarlo Stanton has been phenomenal in this postseason so far, but Aaron Judge is your guy. Just looking at this matchup from a wide perspective, you have Judge versus Ohtani, a generational matchup. This doesn't happen often, and so I think absolutely yes, the Yankees need to rely on Aaron Judge in this series.
I mean, Aaron Judge isn't even he doesn't even have the most hits this season. I believe it's Stanton who's got the most hits in this postseason that's doing it. Jack, where do you think Judge lies in this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a matter of how good the Yankees pitching has been. I don't think they necessarily need to rely on Judge because the rest of the talent's there. You got Juan Soto, you got Giancarlo Stanton. Yankees had the 7th best ERA in the MLB this season, the 4th most strikeouts in the MLB this season for pitchers. So, you look at the rest of this roster, they got the talent needed to get it done, even if Judge doesn't perform as well as he's performed in the last couple seasons. Now, that being said, he needs to do better than getting 5 hits in 10 games, for sure. He needs to come away with at least 1 or 2 a game. But I think they have the talent to get it done without him.
As somebody who grew up watching the Yankees, I'd love to see Judge uncork a few to 400, 500 yards. Now, the Dodgers, they've been playing their best ball all season right now. Shohei Ohtani, the star of this team, and they have the offseason addition of Mookie Betts, plus Tommy Edman. He's had 15 postseason hits. So, I mean, this team looks very scary right now. What does it take for them to win?
Well, I'll say for any team to win a World Series, the recipe is always great pitching and timely hitting. And, the the Dodgers have great hitting for sure, but I think the pitching is a little too inconsistent. You look at some of the pitchers that they've got injured right now. Clayton Kershaw, obviously. Brusdar Graterol, he's a reliever for them. He could play in the World Series, but it's still a little bit iffy. Tony Gonsolin, Gavin Stone, and Dustin May. That's a rotation. You know, that's 5 very solid pitchers, a couple All-Stars in there, Hall of Famer in Kershaw. So when you're missing those kind of guys, I don't think you can have great pitching and timely hitting. You know, it's going to be very difficult for them to overcome these injuries, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Tyler?
I completely agree. I think it is going to be a very tough series for these Dodgers. I do have a lot of faith in Shohei Ohtani. I think he is primed for this series. I think he's primed. He is ready to go, along with the rest of the team. A lot of those guys that have been there for a while, they've made it far in the postseason, but they haven't won the whole thing. And so I think having the carrot on the stick being dangled in front of them for 3 years in a row, the last time they won the World Series was in 2020. They've come close. They've come so close. And having it come so close like that, look, I mean, I always say hungry dogs run fast.
Yeah.
This team looks hungry. They look primed. They look ready. But I do think without the great pitching that they really should be relying on in this series, it's going to be a tough matchup for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say that we are in for probably one of the best series we've seen. I mean, these are 2 legendary teams. Now, Tyler, who's your pick? Who's winning it all?
I actually am going with the Dodgers in 7 games in this one. I think it's going to be a tough series. These look like the 2 best teams in baseball, right? There really isn't some magical run going on in this World Series. So I'm going with the Dodgers mainly because I'm looking at their run differential right now, right? They have a +20 run differential. The Yankees are at +11. That's half of the Dodgers. And I think in terms of that, this series really is going to lean Dodgers, but it's not going to be a close one whatsoever. I'm so sorry. It is entirely going to be a close one. My apologies.
It's all good. It's all good. Jack, who's winning?
I got the Yankees. You know, I just think that the talent for both teams is there, but the Yankees, they're just healthier going into this. They've got great pitching, like I said, 7th best ERA all season. Not like the Dodgers pitching has been horrible, but they're really banged up. I think Aaron Judge is going to step up. They've been able to skate by without him pretty much, but I think he's going to step up when he needs to do it. And the Dodgers, they're just too injured. So, you know, give me the Yankees in this one, especially considering that the Dodgers manager is still Dave Roberts.
I'm going to break the tie on this one. I'm going with the Yankees as well. I think Judge is due for one. I think it's ready. It's his time. Now, we'll move on to the NBA. The season has started, and 24 teams have already played their first games, with the last 6 playing tonight. Now, after watching a few of these games, which teams do we like seeing so far, or who've performed well? Can't wait to see throughout the rest of the season, Jack?
You know, I really like the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, they played the 76ers last night, came away with a great win on the road in a hostile environment in South Philadelphia. But, you know, anytime you got Giannis Antetokounmpo on your team, you're going to have a great chance to do a lot of good work during the season. They added Damian Lillard last season. I can't wait to see how those 2 play together healthy. Only played 65 games together last season. And the playoffs, Giannis didn't play in that 6-game series that they lost to Indiana in the first round. I think when you get Giannis back healthy, he's a beast. I think he has a good chance to win his 3rd MVP. And you pair him with a great generational guard like Damian Lillard, they're going to have a great chance to do some great work.
Yeah, Tyler, I mean, what teams impressed you so far? I know it's only been 1 game, but, like, what team did you like to watch?
Right. The team that I liked to watch the mostly was actually the New York Knicks. They didn't play well whatsoever against the Celtics, but they have built this incredible roster throughout the offseason. Now, 1 game does not a season make whatsoever. There are 82 games in a regular basketball season. Now, do not hit the panic button, but I think the best thing about this team is that they are experiencing these problems early on, right? And when you experience these problems early on, you're able to evaluate them and act on them and create those changes throughout the season. I think when you have a team like Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, you can just list on and on and on with the names here. I think they are going to be a very, very good squad in the East, even though they didn't look that great in their first game against the Celtics.
I mean, there's 2 teams that I'm really watching. First, I want to see the Lakers. I want to see if Bronny James actually does something this season, but I also want to see our boy Dalton connect. But also, I got to watch my Warriors. I mean, they're playing without a big man, again, without Klay Thompson. They added a few key pieces to their roster, and, I mean, they won their first game. we'll see how it goes. And we're in the midway point of the NFL season. The only undefeated team right now is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, is that because of Patrick Mahomes? Is that because of their defense? And their offense is pretty banged up. The Chiefs are not the best team in the league right now by any sorts of the mean, but they are number one. So what team is the best team in the league?
Well, I mean, first of all, to address the question, I think that it is absolutely because the defense that Kansas City Chiefs team's playing so well. Patrick Mahomes so far, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, just not good. I mean, it's just not good. But you know, I think the team that's I'm really looking at, I got, you know, Detroit looks great. And they look really, really phenomenal. They went and played Minnesota this weekend, and they had a great last-second victory. You got Jared Goff playing at an all-pro level, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then obviously you got Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown catching passes. This is a great team to look forward to, and also the Vikings as well, because they're 5-1 and they have not even got T.J. Hawkinson back yet, and he's an absolute beast at that tight end spot. So when he gets healthy and when they get him back, mixing with Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones out of the backfield, I think that's going to be a really, really dangerous team to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the NFC North right now seems stacked, completely stacked. All teams above 500 and well so above 500.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, who's the best team in the league right now?
In my opinion, the best team in the league it's hard to decide because the league is so wide open. There's been a lot of surprises this year. But I believe that the best team in the league is the Ravens. Now, they have Derrick Henry, who hasn't even seemed to lose a step, but he seems to gain a step. He looks as good. He looks better than he's ever been before on a Ravens roster. And also Lamar Jackson at quarterback, Mr. Johnny himself, Mr. 2-time MVP. I think this guy's got it. He is my favorite quarterback in the league. He never has a star wide receiver, but he always seems to make it work. They have a great tight end duo in Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. They will get better as the season goes on, and I have a lot of faith in the Ravens to come out of the AFC.
I think the Lions are going to win it all. I'm just saying it right now. I want you to document this. I think the Lions are the best team in the league right now, and I think they will go all the way, hopefully. I think it would just be amazing football to see.
Right.
But that's all the time we have for Rocky Talk this week. Stay tuned because we will be back next week.
This is wisdom. It's not something you learn. It's something you earn. With experience, with consistency, with compassion and dedication. This is the confidence that comes from having wisdom on your side. This is hope. This is victory. This is the Regions Academic Medical Center. This is wisdom for your life.
He shoots, and he scores!
Being a basketball coach isn't a 40-hour-a-week job. I wish it was, but sometimes it feels like it's all the hours of the week kind of job. Buddy, if there's something that saves me some time, I'm all for it.
Coach, is that my dress shampoo?
Don't judge me. Every minute I save is a precious minute I get to spend at home. That's why I love using Go-Kart curbside pickup at Food City. I order my groceries online, and they bring them right to my car in the parking lot.
Order for Barnes?
Hey, that's me.
Hello and welcome back to the Summit. I'm Jordan Smitherman and we have a little bit of a different crew here this week. Alexi is back and we have Patrick Falcon and Nick Rose joining us. Welcome guys. So today we are going to be talking about the WNBA Finals wrapping up as well as a Lady Vols basketball preview as their season tips off 1 week from today with an exhibition against Carson Newman. However, let's switch back to the WNBA as the New York Liberty, one of the WNBA's original franchises, won their first championship in franchise history in an intense back-and-forth series against the Lynx, which some are calling the best series ever. It is a little bit controversial though because Breanna Stewart drew a foul late in the game that some are thinking shouldn't have been called and eventually led to overtime and a Liberty win. All of that to say, Do you guys think the Liberty deserved to win, or do you think the Lynx should have won? Alexia, let's start with you.
Well, first off, I need to issue a formal apology to Matthew Solitsky. I was wrong. That doesn't happen often, but I was wrong. And the Liberty did win. Now, do I think it was fair and square? No. I would say, but it's a tough situation. Because if that call happened in overtime, it would have been a different story. But the Lynx had 5 more minutes to fix this, and they didn't. I mean, it's not like that call was the defining call. You still had 5 more minutes in overtime. And so, I mean, I do think the Liberty won semi-fair and square. But I definitely do think the Liberty, they took a 4-step walk right before that foul was called. But I feel like they would have gotten more flack. The refs would have gotten more flack if they called that walk. A foul I can see, but they weren't going to call that walk. But still very sticky.
And like you said, if it was called in overtime, it would have been more flack. But yeah, what you got, Patrick?
Yeah, you know, that's a tough way to lose a great series, but I don't think you can discredit the Liberty for that. I think they deserve to win. That's going to happen in basketball. You're going to get kind of ticky-tacky fouls like that one. It's a shame that I came late. But if you want to win, you can't let yourself get out-rebounded by 11 rebounds. They shot 37%, the Lynx. The Liberty shot 30%. So the Lynx were playing great defense all game. You hold the team to 30%, you got to find a way to win that, especially when you hold their best 2 scores to 18 points combined. So I think this was more of the Lynx not being able to close the deal rather than them kind of getting lucky or getting unlucky rather.
Yes, good points. What you got, Nick?
I think Patrick said it perfectly. I mean, you look at it, the Lynx went into that game at halftime up. They came out and the Liberty won the 3rd quarter by 10 points. So that was kind of the start of it there for them. And then beyond that, you can't let yourself get out rebounded. That really hurts, especially when both teams aren't shooting especially great. But sometimes the refs make a call and they make it about themselves, unfortunately. It ruins a bunch of great games in every sport. But you got to live on with it and play on. Like you guys said, they had 5 extra minutes in overtime. And the Lynx did a phenomenal job at stopping Stewie and Sabrina. But they kind of let the rest of the team get away and add up those points, especially Jonquel Jones, who ended up being the finals MVP.
Now, you know, a lot of people are saying, they're like, hey, I think this was a little rigged for the Liberty so they could get their first natty. What do you think? Do you think that was?
I don't like conspiracy theorists a whole lot, but I mean,
I'm the conspiracy theorist. So bad.
When the commissioner comes in to the game wearing a New York dress, it kind of does make it look a bit more sketchy than it should be.
It's not a great look, that's for sure.
Now that was the icing on the cake right there. I was like, how in the world? You don't do that.
No.
But yeah, maybe they want to get Sabrina her first ring too. I don't know. But nonetheless, it was a great series. And now on to our Lady Vols, and we are officially in a new era under Kim Caldwell. And safe to say, Vol Nation is pretty excited about it. So Caldwell has been a quick riser and a proven winner in both of her stops in Glenville State and Marshall. And hopefully Danny White brought in another great coach. So what differences are you expecting to see with Kim Caldwell? Do you think there'll be a different pace offensively, different scheme, etc.? Nick?
Lots of threes. Lots of threes, heavy on-ball pressure, lots of forced turnovers, and expect press. Kim Caldwell's teams love to play aggressively. They love to shoot the 3 ball. They led the nation in 3-pointers attempted last season, and they were 2nd in turnovers forced per game and 3rd in steals forced per game. So it's a very aggressive teams in both formats. What I'm really looking forward to, though, is how she's going to play her forwards. Because looking at the Marshall team last year that she had 1 player who's 6'2". 1. No one taller than that. This year she has 4 people 6'2" or taller. So how she's going to do with her aggressive and quick-paced team with these taller players and how she's going to manage the subs. Because she does sub very frequently. The Marshall team had 12 players who averaged over 10 minutes per game last season. So how she's going to incorporate all these bigs as well with all the guards that she has is going to be very interesting to watch.
Good stats. What about you, Alexi?
Yeah, I've gotten the opportunity to watch Kim coach just a little bit in some media practices, and that woman is no bull.
Yeah, she's a dog.
Yeah, she told, I talked to Tess Darby a couple weeks ago, and she said that Kim tells them, I don't care if we win or not, will be the hardest working team in this country.
That's how you
whether
want it
or
to
not.
be. Yeah.
And I love her. And I think she is going to, I think we're going to see this team come out in a completely different fashion than we did in the Harper era. No shade to Harper, good team. But there were some questionable decisions that she made. And I don't think Caldwell's going to let that slip up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see a fast-paced offense. Like you said, press all the time. But this team's going to be quick.
Yes, I agree.
And that's what we
Quicker,
need.
faster.
We don't need to be like the elderly out there. And it seems like we were so many times last year.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see us running it.
I just feel like we need a little bit of juice with how big the Lady Vols are as a national presence. We just need that extra juice. We need to get back up to that level. And with Harper, we were fine. We were just like in the same level. We were stagnant. We weren't doing anything. Stagnant.
That's where we were.
We were crazy. Or we weren't crazy or anything. So I just think we need to reach that new level, and I think Kim Caldwell can take us there.
Yeah, I like that word juice. I love that word that you use. I think that she's a young coach. She's going to bring that in. Very offensive minded. At her time at Glenville State, 5 times her team's led in points in the entire country, 4 times in 3-pointers. So I think we're going to see that offensive mentality shift. What I'm really looking forward to is how this team's going to perform on the road. Last year we were 5-6 on the road compared to 11-4 at home. Last year at Marshall, 12-5 on the road. So
No way.
I mean, she wins. Google her, she wins no matter what.
Yes.
Home, away,
She's a
neutral. She's a winner. And I think we bring that mentality and we bring that youth in. I think that'll help us a lot. I think we're going to be able to stretch the floor. I think we're going to be chucking it this year.
Yes.
And it's going to tick that scoreboard up, and I'm looking forward to that.
Chucking it.
Woo! But her teams averaged like 85.3 points a game, which like almost led the nation. And it's great that I feel like Danny White just like went outside and just like found just a great coach instead of just like a big name somewhere else. I think that could be really beneficial for us. But with a new coach comes a new staff and a lot of new players. So what transfers are you most excited to see perform for the Lady Vols? And what returning players do you think will thrive or break through in Caldwell's system? Patrick, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with a transfer. Let's start off with Samara Spencer. She's a transfer guard from Arkansas. She's a little bit undersized, only 5'7", but she's a scorer. She averaged 13.9 points per game last year, but she can do it all.
Yeah.
About 4 rebounds a game, about 3 assists a game. That's what we need. We need an all-around player to help us run the floor, and she shot about 35% from 3 last year. With this Caldwell offense, stretching it out some, chucking it, she's going to be chucking it, and she's going to be making it a lot. And then for our returner, I like Sarah Puckett. One of those 6'2", one of those taller players we talked about. She's a forward, but she can stretch the floor. Do not get it twisted. She's going to be a weapon offensively. Again, all this about offense. I think we buy into that. Play our defense, play that press we talked about, but offense is going to win this game. We're not going to have to hold teams under 70, under 80 to win. We can put up 80, 90 points even. So I think those 2 players will be a big part of that.
Okay.
I agree with you there on Samara Spencer. I think out of the transfers we've seen, I think we will see the most out of her. And then when it comes to a returning player, I would really like to see Avery Strickland have a good year. You know, she was a rock star in high school. And she was a rock star at Pitt her freshman year. But, you know, when she came to Tennessee her sophomore year, had a couple injuries, holding her back. But she has a good offensive mentality. And I really hope that we get to see her shine this year.
There's a lot of potential in her. And hopefully we can bring that out. What about you, Nick?
I got, as for the transfer, I got Alyssa Latham from Syracuse. Freshman, she led that Syracuse Orange team in rebounds last year, along with 7 rebounds and then along with 8.6 points per game, and while doing it efficiently with 46% field goal percentage. So I'm really looking forward to that. Another one of the 6'2" taller people, so I'm excited to see how Kim Caldwell is going to use her in her offense. And then for returning player, I'm going to go with the kind of obvious one, Jewel Spear. She was the 2nd leading scorer from last year's team behind Rakia Jackson. And man, is she going to be impressive in this offense. She was very impressive, and she was the leader in 3-point percentage, which is the big thing I was looking at. Was we know Kim Caldwell lets them shoot it as much as they want.
Chuck
it. Absolute chuck it. With her being that efficient, I look for her to be the leading scorer on this Lady Vols team this year.
Yeah, I agree. Great stuff, guys. Well, that is all we have for you today on the Summit, and thank you for watching, and go Vols.
This is wisdom. It's not something you learn. It's something you earn. With experience, with consistency, with compassion, and dedication. This is the confidence that comes from having wisdom on your side. This is hope. This is victory. This is the Regions Academic Medical Center. This is wisdom for your life.
He shoots, and he scores!
Being a basketball coach isn't a 40-hour-a-week job. I wish it was, but sometimes it feels like it's all the hours of the week kind of job. Buddy, if there's something that saves me some time, I'm all for it.
Coach, is that my dress shampoo?
Don't judge me. Every minute I save is a precious minute I get to spend at home. That's why I love using Go-Kart curbside pickup at Food City. I order my groceries online, and they bring them right to my car in the parking lot.
Order for Barnes?
Hey, that's me.
Welcome back to the Orange Zone. I'm Jackson, that's Sophie. Those are the two Lukes. You may have noticed I've been sporting a different tie tonight, and if you remember from last week, Luke and I made a little bit of a wager. Our high schools played each other last Friday night, and whoever's alma mater lost had to wear the winning school's colors. And it's safe to say my Abes did not pull out the miracle. That being said, let's take a look at Luke and I's interaction from earlier today.
I would just like to point out that this guy is like
taking his sweet old
a
time.
grandfather at a cooking. Look at this. Hey, where's my tie, jerk?
You're missing something, dude.
Yeah. Oh, it's tough. Oh my god.
Oh, I mean, look at that. Look at that beauty. I didn't need this tie, but we bought it for a golf thing. For a one-time use, I've worn this tie once. So it's actually new.
Probably not great. This is like an OSU fan wearing a Michigan tie, or a Tennessee fan wearing an Alabama tie. Hey, boom. Leave it to amazing grad to not know how to tie a tie.
Oh, please.
All right, well, you got it. There it is. That ugly little M right there.
How beautiful is that?
I would like to point out, so we've got our little Battle of the Skies trophy. If we can go back to the main, all right. Sycamore came out hot. They scored on the first drive, and then they didn't score the rest of the game. It was 29-7. Mason wins.
No, I will say, though, good for the Sycamore Aviators, really upping their points per game, which was at 6.5. So, real confidence booster for them.
We're about the stats here. We're about the stats. Sycamore, there's always next year, the terminology we've been saying since probably 2012. Now, moving on, as mentioned earlier, we're bringing back a legendary segment from last semester, from last year around this time, and we figured there's no better person to bring in that would have a better understanding of what we're doing. So, Jay, come on in. I would like to announce we're bringing back Pick Six, a legendary segment from earlier. We'll squeeze in. We can squeeze in. I mean, it's all right. Now, Jay, you've got some games for us. Why don't you read out what you got? We'll go through our picks just like the olden days. Start us out with the first game you got.
Yeah, well, the first one is tomorrow night. It's a big group of 5 matchup in the Mountain West. We got the number 17 ranked Boise State with the best player in the country, Ashton Genty, going to Las Vegas to play one-loss UNLV, the Runnin' Rebels. Who do y'all got tonight?
I mean, even though he may not eventually end up winning the Heisman, he's my Heisman candidate. Ashton Genty is going to lead the Boise State to a victory over UNLV.
All right.
I think he's going to run through the defense. I mean, there's no shot you're stopping Genty here.
I feel like I'm going to be in a Corso spot here. Not so fast. Now, I would like to point out that UNLV is only, I think Boise State's only favored by about 3 points, so it's going to be a lot closer than people expect. But I still think Boise State wins. I got Boise State.
Also going Boise State, just looking at the run game and the rush defense alone, gonna be unanimous for us here.
Yeah,
Jay?
I mean, UNLV's good, but Ashton Genty's just better. Give me Boise State.
There we go.
All right, next up, at the top of the college football slate, we got a very historic matchup where the rivalry is kind of one-sided, but this time, this team is looking to shock the world. We got number 12 ranked Notre Dame versus number 24 ranked Navy. Who do y'all have? It's going to be in Annapolis.
I mean, the boys in Annapolis are running hot right now. They're having a heck of a season. And I mean, this is going to be a really good game, though. Notre Dame's coming in hot. Navy's coming in hot. Give me Navy in this one.
I like it.
Yeah, look, Riley Leonard, he had a rough start to the season, but, I mean, he's coming back and he's looking really good. Same with that Irish D. I mean, you really can't stop it. We're going Notre Dame here.
Now, I will say, me and my roommate last night, we like to play the biggest games of the week on the new, what is it, CFB 25, NCAA 25, whatever the game's called. Navy lost bad, but I have an uncle that was a big Navy fan. I am told, I should have worn a Navy tie, but I had to wear this stupid thing. I am always told, go Navy, beat Army. I got Navy here.
I'm going to side with Luke on this one, also go with Notre Dame. They have not allowed over 4 yards per carry since the second week of football, so enough said.
Another point I'd like to point out is that Navy is a ridiculously annoying team, as is Army, to prepare for, so we got to remember that. Jay, what you got?
I mean, I got to go Navy here.
There we go.
They're undefeated. They haven't trailed at all this season, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, give me Navy on this big upset. Go Navy, beat Notre Dame.
There we go.
All right, third game up is the Texas Longhorns, fresh off a loss, number 5 in the country, going up against a surprisingly number 25 ranked Vanderbilt Commodores. It's going to be in Nashville. Who do y'all got?
We talked about them earlier in the show. The Vanderbilt Commodores, clap it up for them getting ranks
I'll
finally.
give them snaps.
But a fun fact about Vanderbilt, they've only had 2 turnovers this year, 1 fumble and 1 interception. That's a pretty good stat line. That's kind of
That's a
crazy.
really good
Haven't
stat.
allowed points off of either as well, so the defense is putting in work too. But give me the Longhorns here. I think this is gonna be bully ball. Gonna win at the line of scrimmage.
Excited you get to say go Longhorns here.
Go Longhorns.
Yeah, Vandy's having a good season, but in my eyes, you can't stop the Longhorns here at all. I go Texas completely.
I should go Texas, but I am going to go Vandy because I like playing spoiler. Give me Vandy. Let's storm the field again. Why not?
No, absolutely not. Texas is going to run away with this one without a doubt. Congratulations, Vanderbilt. You're ranked. You're finding success with Diego Pavia, but reality check's about to hit you hard.
This is like the worst way to like, congratulations, Vandy. You are ranked. Here's Texas.
Yeah,
When
congratulations.
they need
Number
to win coming
3.
off a giant loss.
Go.
So, Jay, what you got?
Yeah, sadly the Cinderella run is going to have to come to an end. I got Texas, but horns down. Anyways, well then the number 22 ranked SMU Mustangs are visiting the Duke Blue Devils. Battle of the one-loss teams. New to the ACC is the SMU Mustangs. This conference is absolutely wide open. Who do y'all have?
I mean, I like the Mustangs. Duke's had some close games this year early in the season against some not so great teams. They squeaked past Northwestern. Probably should have lost that game. So I think SMU's going to go in there and take care of business.
I'm going to counter you. I mean, Duke Blue Devil football this year has been absolutely phenomenal for them. They've always been the basketball school. This year, I mean, they're kind of turning the tides. I'm going to go Duke with the upset here. Let's go Blue Devils. I like it.
I'm going to stay in the family. My mom hates Duke like someone hates something. I couldn't think of a reference in time. Never going for Duke. Give me SMU by a trillion. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm also going to take SMU here. Duke's kind of struggling to run the ball a little bit, and SMU is averaging 40.7 points per game. So really high offensive scoring team, so going to take them.
Yeah, while both teams have been red hot, I think SMU gets the edge here. Again, Duke has been squeaking by their opponents. I think give me the Mustangs. They've been having a great first year in the ACC. All right, 5th game, Missouri, Alabama. This one's pivotal. Whoever loses this game is essentially out of the playoffs. If not, Alabama's out of the playoffs already. It's going to be in Tuscaloosa. Who do y'all have?
I with every part of my being, wanted to pick Missouri for this game because I do not like how Alabama is playing football, but it's Missouri. I mean, they have looked not great this year. Give me Bama to go down after a loss to Tennessee and take care of business with Missouri.
I don't like either. I really don't. And I'll tell you, I think Missouri. I think they're frauds. I don't really think they deserve to be ranked at all. I'm going to go Bama here. I think they're going to kill them.
If Bama wasn't wearing, I like a few of the players on Bama, as hard as that is to say, as much as I dislike Bama, just because, there's a little bit of a rivalry. Regardless, give me Bama. It's a big bounce back win.
Yeah, both these teams are in a very need to prove themselves. No margin left for error kind of state, but Missouri's just too exposed on both sides of the ball. They are not looking good right now. As much as it pains me to say it, I'm going to have to choose Bama as well.
I also hopped on the Missouri is fraud train like 3 episodes back.
Yeah.
So there's no stopping between. I'm trapped in. I'm there.
Now, as easy as Mizzou's schedule is to end the year, I think they do end up losing to Bama because versus a ranked team like Texas A&M, they did not show up at all. Now, best for last, we got the big game tonight or tomorrow, or Saturday night actually. If the season ended today, this would actually be the SEC championship. Both teams only have 1 loss, and they were both out of conference. We got the Texas A&M Aggies hosting the LSU Tigers. Whoever wins this game controls their destiny in the SEC. Whoever loses this game has their back against the wall. Who do y'all have?
I mean, like you said, this is the game of the week for my taste. This is going to be an incredible game. Can't wait to watch it. Top 2 teams in the SEC, both undefeated in conference play. But I like the Aggies here. I think 12th man, home of the 12th man is going to help them out a little bit in Kyle Field, and I think they get the win over LSU.
Yeah, I think the combo of red-hot Aggie football as well as Kyle Field, I don't think you can stop them at all. I think it's going to be a great game, but I think A&M slips it out here. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think it's going to be a great game. I think both these teams are really hot, but it's an immovable object versus an unstoppable force, and I got Aggies by like a hair. But it could go either way. It's a coin toss. You got the right pick on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. If LSU was perfect for this game, if they are super efficient, their rush game's on point, maybe they could win, but I don't think it's possible at all. I'm going to go A&M as well.
Jay, who you got?
They're both pretty equal. I think I'm got to go with the home team here. This is Texas A&M. It's going to be Saturday night in Aggie land. I think Texas A&M squeaks this one out. Expect a big game from running back Le'Veon Moss, who has been kind of underrated this year, overshadowed by the obviously better Dylan Sampson, but still.
Yeah. All right, Jay. Well, thank you so much. Glad we could bring this back. You were excused. I know you got to leave soon. Snaps it up. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Have a good one. All right, now let's move on. As we usually do, we're going to wrap up with our great, good, bad, and ugly selections from around college football this week. Sophie, you have great for the first time. What you got for us?
Here, this week, we're going to look at South Carolina versus Oklahoma. South Carolina's linebacker Demetrius Knight absolutely mauls Oklahoma's quarterback Jackson Arnold. The ball comes loose, and then their defensive back Peyton Williams picks it up 4-6. You see the hit right there. Oh, not looking good. Take it all the way back for 6. They'll have a good defensive moment here, you know? I feel like the defense doesn't get enough credit. I love them to have that opportunity to score.
I thought he was going to get hawked down. I'm not going to lie. Also, this is like perfect. Like, look at this.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to jump right over. I mean, it's like excellent. He's like, no, I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
He's gone.
This is mine.
That was a beautiful
yeah.
play.
Great DB moment.
That's a
for
big
South
man
Carolina.
running.
Yes.
Can't stop a big man
we
running.
love a big man touchdown. Not touchdown, but.
All right, let's go to what we got.
Yeah, let's take a look at Arizona State, Cincinnati here. I mean, my goodness, look, they're down. Look, the running back gets caught back here big time. He's got 2 men. He breaks through and then lays it down in the end zone, buries him. I mean, 6 feet under, trucks him into the end zone, my goodness, and then walks over him. The disrespect, I'll tell you, that's a heck of a play right there, and the power behind that hit, my goodness, that's my good for the week.
The stand down was pretty incredible, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he stared him down.
Allen Iverson step over.
Giving him the business.
Yeah. I like the business. I love it. All right, let's move on. I had the opportunity to do bad, and this is as bad almost as it gets.
Yeah.
Now, UCF is winning this game. They end up losing by, I want to say, 1 score. I know it's 1 score. I don't know if it's a field goal or a touchdown. Regardless, this would have been immense, but there's one key thing you forgot to bring in the end zone with them, and that would be the ball. You see, right at the line, he's got a chance to score a touchdown, but he just drops the ball. This is like coaching 101. He's going to be running miles at practice this week.
Why does this keep happening?
Not pretty. I feel like just tuck it. Like, they love to just
finish
like
it out.
You're not like just
ball security.
Run with it. We're good. We got it. All right, let's move on to ugly. What you got?
For me, I have the Texas Longhorns here, but not the team, the fans. I mean, we all watched the game. You can see the play here. Georgia against Texas. Carson Beck throws the ball. That was called DPI. Took the interception all the way down into the red zone, but then the fans were not happy with the call, throwing things on the field, and this is just inexcusable. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, as a Texas fan, this is just, you can't have this. You can't have this happening.
Wow.
It's a bad look for Steve Sarkisian. He's telling the fans to stop, but I mean, it's tough when you see the fans coming in and ruining the game for your team.
That pose, he's like midfield, just hands,
you know,
the pan out.
I respect the effort, but you're not going to really calm down 100,000 fans by just doing this.
Speaking of
That's
Texas
why they're
fans,
not
look at this picture we got. Look at that one.
Wow. Okay.
This is Luke. If you go and find Luke's Instagram,
Wow.
you can find in his tag photos.
the Photoshop
I had
is
to
unbelievable.
Photoshop a hat and a nice little Texas Longhorn shirt. For those of you who don't know, Luke's sister went to Texas. He is a Texas.
No,
okay, you're someone in your
my
family. went to
my
Texas.
grandparents
He's wearing
went
it's okay. He's like
parents
four,
went to Texas.
four
Oh my
levels down.
gosh.
Regardless, he's
Scorching.
hooking him in this
The
picture.
fake UT.
Wow. Oh.
And the pop socket. Look at the pop socket on the phone.
We're doing him dirty. We're doing him dirty now.
We could frame this.
Holy Toledo.
We could frame this entire thing. and it
Oh,
would be-
boy.
Oh jeez. Look at. Oh, there it is.
I love the zoom in. My
Luke,
goodness.
any comment on
Look
that
at the
before
rubber
we head
bands
out?
too.
We were all freshmen at one point. We were
Is
all.
that-
This
Is
is a
that high school?
freshman year.
Is that high school?
That was
Oh my!
You look
maybe
12.
no, that's right.
You
That was
look
8th
12.
grade. That was
You
8th
look
grade.
like a model.
Oh,
Eighth grade.
thank
Post
God.
it, post it up.
Anyway,
The glow up was good, right?
and
All right. Well, I thought we could end on that. We're gonna wish this Texas Luke goodbye. Hopefully, maybe forever. We'll keep the current one we got. Go Balls. We'll stick with that. Now that wraps up this live episode of Torch Sports. I hope you guys had fun. I know we did, especially here. Balls are on a bye, so enjoy the little bit of a week off. Like I said, you can't lose in a bye. Enjoy it while you can. We're going to see you right back here next week. Peace.